Should I use sport mode? Sport mode is right here. It's a little. Well, look, an S just lighted up on the dash. They lit up on the dash, and the S means more throttle response, so a different throttle mapping from my CVT.
It's noisy.
It's a CVT. It's a Nissan CVT.
It's not good.
Welcome everybody to one of the cheapest cars in America, and I don't mean that as an insult. I want to talk about what you get for your money and what you don't get for your money. We are in the updated, latest and greatest version, 2025 Nissan Sentra 2-liter SV CVT. All of that is actually on the Monroney. All of everything I just said is on the Monroney. Yeah.
It's the same engine on all the Sentra versions. Unfortunately, there is no SER trim level of the Sentra. There hasn't been for years.
Yes.
But we're here to find out if the bones of the current Sentra could be used towards a future SER, because I think they could be.
Great cars, great roads, and all the reasons we love to drive.
Road trips, comparisons, test drives, and podcasts. This is Everyday Driver.
I think I like this car a little bit more than you do.
I don't know about that. I'm a little surprised by it.
You are?
Because
you
of the
like it?
Because of the price point, loaded out. You can't make these cars 30 grand.
No.
This is a car in the $20,000 range. You can get them in the mid-20s, okay? That's how inexpensive this car is. And in the modern time, that's difficult. And we have been driving of late a lot of cars in the mid-$35,000 range.
Yep.
And I'm always caveating those cars with what they don't have.
Okay.
Here's a car the better part of 10 grand cheaper. And I have two things that stuff in the mid-30s often doesn't have. I have a power heated driver's seat with lumbar.
It's good.
Tons of cars in the 30s are going all mechanical.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
Also, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all of those exist.
Only plug in. Only if you plug it in.
But it exists still.
Yes.
And
it's not wireless,
this is multi-link rear suspension.
Yeah.
The Mazda 3, doesn't matter how you get it, is now torsion beam.
Yep, true.
So here is an inexpensive car with decent tech and good underpinnings, and that is not common in the mid-$30,000 range, and I'm in the high 20s.
I'm surprised by this, and I expected to not like it. I expected it to just be really a sad sack of low effort, not caring, kind of like what Volkswagen has done lately.
Oh, there's the shot. There's the shot. All right.
But you know what? For as many problems as Nissan has been having, as much as they want a new partner in the future, if you're watching this, they might have partnered with somebody.
True, yeah.
And they have claimed they want to be a partner, not just a subsidiary.
True.
They view themselves as a merger of equals for whatever might happen in the future. And you know what? This car proves that, because they've got good technology. And for as much as they have invested in CVTs and thrown CVTs at the general public,
yes,
this is bad. Well, it's not the greatest. But you know what? The bones of the car, I keep driving it, and I keep chucking this through corners, and it keeps just being willing. It doesn't have some of the stuff to back it up, like power, a turbo, and great suspension, and interesting handling. But you know what? This is a great starting point, which was the whole point of the Mitsubishi Evo, the Subaru WRX.
I see
they
where
were
you're
never
going.
built as the hot performance versions first. That's what this could be. Nissan is not. But what I do appreciate is the price, the amenities that they've given you, and the effort they've put into this to make it a contender. But nobody cares, because Sentra's been around forever, and it's just an old nameplate. They've done nothing really to revitalize it. So it still kind of cruises along with 149 horsepower, 145 pound-feet of torque, in a very understressed engine that is uninspiring, that you wish you had more power.
Yes.
But Nissan could do something.
I am surprised that you like this that much, but I think both of us are connecting with the value for money here.
That's 100%,
I kept thinking when actually driving this car, because dynamically, boring. The Civic drives better in every trim.
Yes, it does.
The Mazda 3 drives better in every trim, which is kind of amazing considering that Mazda 3 is lugging around that torsion beam rear, and this has multi-link, and somehow the Mazda drives more interesting. I'm not sure how that works out, but that is good chassis tuning on the part of Mazda. And in Nissan, they went middle of the road, and it drives middle of the road. It's just, there's not a lot of power. 0 to 60 here is like 9, okay? You and a bunch of people and a bunch of gear are going to struggle sometimes in this, and the CVT is going to let you know it. I don't like the drivetrain. It could take a better engine, but imagine this with 250, 300 horsepower and a manual transmission. That could get interesting.
That's suddenly interesting.
There is something going on here that could be better than it is, but then I zoom out and I just go, small working family needs a car for everything.
Yeah.
This is one of those cars you climb into, and I don't think you realize how little you spent. That doesn't happen often.
True. Yeah.
We've had it a few times this year. I actually kind of like getting the lower level stuff in the market because it reminds us when there are little gems where it's a value for money, and this is one of them. I have to say it again. I don't enjoy driving this. I don't. There's nothing here to enjoy driving dynamics wise. But this has real back seat space. Like 4 adults could be in here.
It's actually decent. Better than many cars.
It's got a good sized trunk.
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting in here thinking, oh my gosh, the interior is so cheap. I'll give you a counterpoint. The high performance Corolla, you spend all this money on a high performance Corolla and you look around and you're like, this is shabby in here.
This interior is better.
Mid-grade of the Sentra. And while they've done some hard plastics in places, this breakup of colors and the quality of the seats and the pleating on the seats, this feels like a high $30,000 car at first glance and as you interact with it. And it isn't.
Yeah, agreed.
So if you are a family shopping for a car that has to be a do-it-all and you are concerned about buying brand new for warranty, you got to shop at this level. And this is a real contender. You start looking at, I have high $20,000 to shop for a family car, and some of that stuff is depressing. And this isn't.
Yeah.
That's the thing I keep coming back to, is that this is a legitimate car that feels like you get in and you go, it's pretty nice in here.
It's car.
But the price is still really low and competitive in the modern time. I think it is a victory on value more than it is a victory on engineering or on driving fun.
Fair, but you're still reminded that this is a professional car company with professionals, true professionals, that know how to execute at a high level because of the build quality. I looked at everywhere on this car trying to find things that I like, and I actually found some stuff. Styling-wise, that U-shaped theme at the front of the grille. If you park this next to one of the older Sentras, it's been done forever. Nissan, can we please move on from that theme, introduce a new interesting theme?
Yes.
But the surfaces are nice, and the surface finishes are actually well done. Those surfaces are very carefully thought through. You work your way around to the C-pillar, it's actually kind of interesting just looking at that C-pillar standalone. Look at how that shoulder line finishes at the rear of the car. This is still very sensitively done, even though it's at a price point. The shut lines are consistent, but it's difficult to do that hood shut line where it goes through that front theme, that upward facing theme. So it looks like a very thin shut line that widens and goes back to a thinner, more narrow shut line. That's definitely difficult to achieve, but for the most part, they've done a great job doing it. It's not the most interesting shape. It's, you know, you have to look at sections of the car to appreciate surface quality and what they've done for styling. But you know what? The overall execution, you get in, you see the quilted leather, the theme, this sort of harkens to Mercedes, a little bit, you know, of the turbine jet vents, flat bottom steering wheel. It's sort of like, oh, you know what? The materials don't feel cheap, and it doesn't present itself as just a cheap car. There's something to like here. It's not an amazing car to drive, but I come away going, you know what? I've driven worse cars.
For sure.
A long list of worse
I've driven worse cars that cost more.
Well, that's the problem.
That's the thing. And again, I'm talking about value for money. I'm talking about features in here and first glance kind of car shopping. Like, well, that's pretty good looking. Doesn't look cheap. Get inside. Oh, this is nice in here. Doesn't look cheap. Now, if I get picky, I start touching things up here on the dash. The places, let's be honest, that you only touch if you're a car journalist doing what I'm doing now. Those places all feel cheap, but they don't look cheap. And the places you're actually touching, the seat, the shifter, the steering wheel, those parts all feel expensive. So they've pulled off that thing that, frankly, Volkswagen used to do really well, where all the stuff you interacted with was brilliant and felt high-end and the other stuff was hidden. They've hidden the stuff.
Kept cutting budget.
They've hidden the stuff that feels cheap, or they know to go cheap in the places where you're not going to interact. Now, this is a small screen. That's a place where you kind of show, and this is the big screen of the options. The other one is 6-inch. Can you imagine? This is an 8-inch screen. I like when I get in a car and I go, this is decent. And I look at the price and I go, it's only that much?
It delivers more.
And this is one of those cars. And at the bottom of the market, too. Because the bottom of the market stuff typically is, well, it's new and it's cheap. And those are the only features. Mm-hmm. And this does both of those, and is a cool place to be.
Yeah.
I have to say, look, we're the driving geeks. I wish this drove better, but for what it is, I don't know that it needs to.
Yeah. Which is, in and of itself, a win. Mm-hmm. The problem is, everybody has looked down their nose at Sentras for years and years. And it's
yes.
They've been cheap. It's always the cheap thing. But with this version, the styling is really quite good. It's well refined, and that's impressive.
You can come over here and listen to it drone. I'm excited for you.
I can't wait. That door thing is decent.
This seat is manual, and that sucks.
Yeah, it does.
And Nissan has bragged about their zero-gravity seats, and I've never thought they were as good as the marketing materials would lead you to believe. They're fine.
The dials all feel like pretty decent quality. It feels like it would in one of their more expensive vehicles. It's the same gear. It's the same stuff.
Let me submit this to you. If this were the Maxima, if it were the Maxima name, and this were $39,000, I don't think we'd be sitting here going, this interior's bad. I think we'd be like, it's fine.
I mean, you see where they save money.
For sure.
At your left foot is the e-brake, the push-on, push-off pedal, push-button, start-stop. The gear shift lever has a decent quality feel about it. The problem is it's screwed to a CVT, Xtronic CVT.
That is the problem for sure.
I guess we are in sport mode. All right.
It's as sporty as it gets, buddy. I hit the sport button a while ago.
So running around on Primacy tires that are not the grippiest thing ever.
Nope.
It's actually slightly surprising because I have decided this is a momentum car.
Oh, for sure. 3,100 pounds.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's just over 3,000 pounds. I mean, that is the sweet spot for sports car weight.
These
like
days,
3,000.
That's a light sports car. Yes. Uh-huh.
So it has that going for it. The styling is well executed. Mm-hmm. And if you keep your momentum, you can get up to 80, 90. And if you keep your speed, shift to low, and engine screaming at you, the CVT is rather loud, but you can hold your speed, and suddenly people are surprised that they got passed by a Sentra that wasn't a performance version. It's kind of satisfying. It's one of those cars where you keep your speed and you think, I took you in an econo car.
Yeah, but you all know, I hate to say this, we all know the internet reputation of the current Nissan owner, which is they don't care, which allows for momentum. You just blast through traffic, doesn't matter. You wind up with a dented fender and it's okay. That's the traditional. It's like Mustang drivers go into crowds, Nissan drivers don't care. These are the two just stereotypes. I'm not saying that's you, but I'm saying that is what the internet wants to perpetuate. And this car has the momentum to make it happen.
I suppose along those lines, you could say this is a notch better than rental spec. Rental spec is where Volkswagen is at right now.
You're taking shots, man.
They deserve it.
I hear you. Okay, all right.
They have cut costs so far, they've forgotten that cars need to be the slightest bit interesting. So when you sit down, you kind of go, okay, I could enjoy spending time here. It's not the best car ever, but then the price reflects it. So whether it's a rental, whether it's something you buy outright, brand new, again, you're not going to feel like you've been taken. Mm-hmm. Like they put one over on me. The ride is decent. For long trips, I could see this. The driver's seat is pretty good over here. Lots of space, good visibility. This is just car.
I keep coming back to the family shopping for a one car for the whole family. Got to fit everybody. Also, the back seat split 60-40 into the large trunk.
Yeah, it's good.
I mean, this is one of those real do-it-all success stories as a new car. And we talk about it on the podcast a lot. You have a warranty if anything goes wrong. Your budget is super tight. And generally, that's the car buying penalty box. Whatever you got is enough to get you somewhere. This exceeds that significantly.
If you're looking for MPG, if you're thinking this could be a decent commuter, you're right, because none of the MPG numbers dip into the 20s.
True.
About 30 MPG.
29, 30. You're right, barely into the 20s, but you can hit 40 on the highway.
40 on the highway. And as much as I've been caning this car, see, stick it low.
You are.
And the CVT is responding. It's willing. It knows it's going to shred itself at some point.
It's going to complain right up till its death.
And I've been caning it through corners. So you keep it above 4,500.
Yep.
And it keeps it, not on boost, but on peak 145
We'll
torque
say on
output.
boil. All of it's available. It's doing all it can.
Boiling? Is it boiling? It's
I don't
steaming.
know. It's
Something's happening.
It's lukewarm,
but you're
it's trying.
holding your power, and it kind of grips. It kind of has power enough to hold on to stuff.
Well, those
it's
are
not
those,
an enthusiast car.
No, those are those same primacy tires we hated when they came on the FRS in the 86. So
Yes.
imagine this on decent tires. That right
That's
there would
true.
transform the handling of this. The handling right now is, it accomplishes the corner that you set it into. There's
It
nothing
does.
resembling handling or feel.
It does.
But if that was a concern for you, you could go with different tires. Granted, your MPG would suffer.
That would actually be something.
It would be something. Again, multi-link
interesting.
rear. This has better underpinnings than the Mazda 3. And that is really interesting when you start to think about it.
At no point during this drive do I think, oh, wow, that is cheap and uncomfortable, and I just don't like it. It hasn't let me down at a entry-level standpoint. It's one of the standouts, actually, in that sense. So, if you're shopping, you got to look at Sentra again. And when you're shopping, go to Autotempest.com, because there you can look at new dealer inventory. You can look at all of the generations of the Sentra. You can even go back and look at SERs.
Yeah, you could.
Wish that Nissan still built it. Nissan, we're giving you permission to build
for sure.
a new SER, because that would be bought by enthusiasts. But when you're shopping at Autotempest.com, use Autotempest.com/everyday so that they know that we sent you all the cars. One search, Autotempest.
So this is the 8th generation Sentra. Been around a while. 8th gen.
Look me, I'm holding on to a corner.
You are. I'm a little surprised, actually. I kind of
Sentra!
felt that. Wow, okay. Anyway, yeah, very good. Sentra! I don't know why that's our battle
Sentra!
cry, but there you go. Anyway, the
Non-performance.
thing about this is the 8th gen, but this is also the refresh. I should clarify that. The last time we drove a Sentra was the early in this generation. Starting in 2024 is the refresh, which means slightly different front end and rear, of course. Start-stop was introduced with this with this refresh for this generation, so it's been refined, and this has got about a $3,000 package on it. It gets a premium package, gets the nice seats and those kind of things. You actually want to spend that money. I think that little package alone is the thing that elevates this beyond just base car, and you feel like you got more for your money. Again, there's nothing dynamically for me to connect with here.
No,
but
certainly
I'm
not.
genuinely pleasantly surprised that this is an excellent execution for a price.
Nissan, you did good.
We need a high performance one though.
You can do better.
Yes, true.
And if you did, what would that do to the Nissan brand? If they invested in bringing an SER version, it would not be difficult. And suddenly Nissan would be cool again.
This versus the Civic SI, an
Gotta make some
SER
noise.
version. There you go. Versus the Civic SI would be a comparison I would like to do.
Yes.
That'd be cool.
You know
But
what?
still.
It's willing. That's what I like. It's just, it's a willing partner.
That's fair.